No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Coming up on the latest episode of No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. Reaction as the Kings Lynn Stars get off the mark at the Adrian Flux Arena.
7 rides and was it 5 on the bounce? So, I'm enjoying it. So, may it continue.
We're joined by Rory Schlein for a look ahead to the Cab Direct Championship season ahead.
I look at the side and it's a solid side. You know, I think it's a little bit more composed than maybe last year. I think they could just be a silent hunter this year. Not expecting too much, but they could surprise you.
And we can bring you an update on the fight to return Brandon Stadium back to use and restore motorsport there as well, including Speedway. Could we be many steps closer to seeing return of the Coventry Bees? We hear from Jeff Davies from the campaign.
So that is a very, very clear statement of intent, an unequivocal statement that will put in place protection for the stadium and offer no prospect of anybody coming along and getting permission to do anything else with it.
All to come in No Brakes, No Fear.
No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome to this episode of No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. A little later than normal. It's been a very busy week. It's been hard getting stuff together. But because of that, actually, it's worked out better because we can bring you an update on the Brandon Stadium, as we mentioned, which is very important, and we need people to get involved. That's on the way in part 3. We'll start off by focusing on the Rome Motor Oil Premiership, and on Monday night, the Kings Lynn Stars got off the mark. It was a very narrow victory, 46-44 over Leicester in a meeting which went down to the wire. The Stars had to overcome an early 8-point deficit after 2 5-1s from Max Frick and Luke Becker. That combination for the Lions was pretty deadly, and the home side hit further trouble when Ben Cook crashed out of Heat 10, suffering a wrist injury, which is going to see him on the sidelines for a little while. But Chris Harris again made a crucial difference at reserve, racing in each of the last 5 heats to score 16 plus 2 bonus from 7 rides. He and Nikolai Clint shared Heat 15 to edge the victory for the home side. We'll hear from Nikolai Clint in a few moments' time and Max Frick from the Leicester Lions. But first of all, he's done it again, man of the moment, and looks like he could be heading to number 1. But for now, he is the superstar reserve, Chris Harris.
Well, Chris Harris, these nights at reserve with Kings Lynn certainly keeping you young right now.
They are, definitely. 7 rides and was it 5 on the bounce? So, I'm enjoying it, so may it continue.
I've just been speaking to Nikolai in a separate interview as well. Even though you've won tonight, still a tinge of disappointment. But when you look at the night overall, particularly with how the 2 meetings went last week, bouncing back was the most important part of tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely important to get a win tonight, regardless of what the score was. We needed to get a win, but again, it comes as a cost, losing Ben. And then obviously a few other points we threw away. So all in all, it's nice to get the points on the board, but it's come at a bit of a cost.
The team have still got to look at the positives, though, and like you say, it is a win. But not only that, you came back from 8 points down early doors as well. What changed from Heat 5 onwards, do you think, for the team?
We just got together, and we just had to believe, and we knew we could do it. It was just tonight was probably a bit more about gating, really, and that the boys sorted some of the gating out, and. We managed to pull them points back and get the win.
And for yourself down at reserve, like you say, we've said it's keeping you young, keeping you busy, but just how much are you enjoying having all that bike time out there?
Yeah, it's only a number on my back, so I'm not really bothered what number I am, so it's nice to get in all these rides. Unfortunately, it's other expensive other riders, so hopefully they can pick themselves up. We'll get Ashton going. He's having a tough time at the minute through injuries and a few problems, so we'll get him going, and then hopefully he'll have his rides and less rides for me and save my energy.
And as you've kind of touched upon as well, there's just so much more to come from this side collectively, isn't there?
There is. We're still learning, I guess, with each other and everything, but it's just silly things that are letting us down, with bike problems and just little things like that. So once we get iron that out, we should be cool.
Well, Matt, well done to you in the Stars tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Close run meeting throughout. Then let's hear from the captain of the Leicester Lions now, Max Frick, with Ryan Guest.
Well, Max Frick, it's a 2-point defeat in the end here at Kings Lynn. A frustrating one, particularly with how the boys started here tonight.
I think a little bit, yeah. The track was tricky tonight, so all in all, to come away from home and lose by only a small margin is always positive. We take the positives from wherever we can, and come the home leg, hopefully we can turn that over a little bit.
Yeah, certainly, and like you say, it's another close contest and still very early on in the season as well, so the boys still building plenty as well to look forward to the future as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's riding well, so hopefully we just need to keep that up and keep building.
For yourself, obviously, naturally another solid night, Heat 15 as well, a great ride to come through and take it on the line.
Yeah, I felt pretty average all night, to be honest, but in that last one felt a little bit better and had a little bit of speed, so I was pushing a bit and was able to just snatch that win away from Nikolai, so that was nice.
Looking ahead to Thursday night back at the Hydroscand Arena, Ipswich, it's going to be a real acid test, but as you showed against Bellevue, the boys can collectively come together to get these results.
Yeah, exactly. I think collectively as a team we are really strong, so I think going up against Ipswich will be a big test. They're looking to be pretty strong so far this year, so hopefully we can give them a good run and show our home track advantage.
Max, many thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you.
And what about the thoughts of the home captain then? Nikolai Clint was involved in that final heat along with Chris Harris that saw them secure that victory.
Very proud. The boys really dug in, like we got a reputation for here at Kings Lynn when times are tough. Well needed win, especially after last week, but still, in my opinion, not good enough. We got too many holes, we've thrown too many points away, so we need to improve that for next home meeting.
And that obviously shows the expectation around the camp this year as well, because like you say, to bounce back the way you have done, get the points was a good thing, particularly when you consider you were 8 points down after 5 races tonight.
Yeah, and then we was up by a few, and then you can say we threw a couple of more away, but then again we was also very unlucky, like we have to withstand the very best, very unfortunate crash he had, and obviously we have to wait and see what the injury is saying.
Yeah, we'll wait and see on that one. Obviously, every point has proved vital in the end. Obviously, yourself coming good, making some good starts, showing some good speed out there. But naturally, the talking point is about Bomber at reserve, and whoever's going to be down at reserve is going to have a key role to play with the way this side's structured this year.
They have, but then obviously, like you saw when we were at Bellevue, Bomber didn't score, and then we were struggling even more. Yeah, so whoever goes down there need to obviously capitalise on the position that they've been put in and score the points that they can do. But then again, if the rest of the boys, including myself, are scoring the points that we can, then we don't need a reserve scoring 16 every meeting.
Yep, certainly not. And like you say, plenty still more to come from this side as well. But just how much can you take from tonight going into that next meeting with the Stars now?
Oh, loads. It's a massive confident booster, and it's a well needed win. I know some of the boys, especially Nils, was very disappointed with his own performance. But Nils, he's a fighter. He'll come back strong.
Nikolai, congratulations to you and the Stars tonight.
Thanks, mate.
So the Kings Lynn Stars get their first points on the board. At this moment in time, it's looking like Chris Harris will indeed go to number 1 in the team, and it's also possible that Nikolai Clint might be the rider who drops to reserve. They are going to have a strong reserve, whatever happens. Meanwhile, the Bellevue Aces overcame the early withdrawal of British champion Dan Bewley to record a 53-37 win over Oxford in the Rome Motor All Premiership. Bewley won his opening ride at the National Speedway Stadium, but took no further part because of a back injury, with his teammates all reeling off a succession of race wins in his absence. Skipper Brady Kurtz collected 14+1, a paid maximum, including a brilliant Heat 15 where he came from the back, whilst Jamin Lidsey was only denied a full house in that final race. He got 16 points in total. The visitors limited to 2 race wins from Francis Gusts and guest Dan Thompson, with former Aces rider Charles Wright top scoring on 9. Looking at the fixtures coming up then, heading into the bank holiday weekend, and it will be a busy bank holiday Monday with 4 Rome Motor All Premiership clubs racing twice in one day. Bellevue and Birmingham meet in Manchester at midday on Monday before heading down the M6 to have part 2 of that clash at Perry Bar in the evening. And it's a 1 p.m. start at Oxford as Oxford Spires host the Leicester Lions, and the 2 sides resume in the East Midlands at 7:30. So a busy time ahead there. Taking a look back at some action from last week, and we can bring you a couple of interviews from Sheffield as they again displayed strong home form with a 57-33 win over Kings Lynn, headlined by a 15-point maximum from skipper Josh Pickering. The Tigers made it 2 Row Motor All Premiership wins out of 2 on their own circuit, whilst the Stars slipped to defeat by the same margin as their loss at Bellevue 72 hours earlier. Pickering raced to 5 straight wins, whilst number 1 Jack Holder also went through the card with 13+2, Chris Holder 13+1, Anders Rowe 10+1, all in double figures. Kings Lynn reserve Chris Harris once again collected double figures as well, 11+2 from 7 rides, whilst Richard Lawson was the visitors' only other race winner. He ended with 10+1. Let's hear from a couple of those involved in that now. First of all, Captain Josh Pickering.
Well, Josh Pickering, it's another brilliant night for the Sheffield Tigers here at Alderson.
Yeah, awesome, man. We come here to get the result done, and I did think it was going to be a lot closer, to be honest with you. They got a stacked side the whole way through. They're very strong. They can be very strong, but it just goes to show you how good we are. So, yeah, very proud of the boys, and yeah, massive, 53-37 or something. So, awesome.
Another strong start as well, and that can't be underestimated to how that helped the night's flow as well, setting the tone. 5 advantages in the first 6 races, just an excellent start.
Yeah, we're torn between the gates, to be honest. We didn't really know what to do, and we're going to defer to heat 15, but you know, why change winning formula in a way? It worked last week, so we done the same thing, and yeah, we all hit the ground running, which is what we have to do, and to pull an early lead on Kings Lynn, that was very important. I think it was shared after the first 2, and then after that we sort of pulled away and never stopped after that. So yeah, awesome result. And you know, I know they were in I can't remember what heat it was. I was watching it, but whenever they got a heat advantage, we bounced straight back again. So yeah, we had the grip between our teeth. The track was, I felt like, very good, to be honest. It's a lot different for the curators over here when we get a bit of sun, and yeah, I think the track was very good, and all the boys seem to enjoy it.
And we've just been deliberating whether that's your first full maximum in the Premiership. Either way, it's another unbeaten night, and you've got to be well happy with how your own season started.
Yeah, another maximum. Should have been 2 on the trot. Still annoyed with last week. It was my mistake that I made, but yeah, I'm happy with how things are going. I'm happy with how everything's working. Like, I've got one of my good mates in here, helped me in the pits this year, Zane Kennedy, so it's good to see him back in British Speedway as well, and yeah, him being in here, it makes things a lot easier, and just enjoying it.
Pico, excellent stuff from you and the boys once again. Well done tonight.
Thanks very much, cheers.
And it was a paid max for the Sheffield number 1, Jack Holder, also talking to Ryan Guest.
Well, Jack Holder, that's another convincing win for the Sheffield Tigers. Brilliant stuff from the whole team once again.
Yeah, mate, it's started off the season good. You know, it's feels like we've been here for ages and, you know, haven't really got going. So yeah, hopefully, you know, it's our second meeting at home, and then now we've got a big break again. So hopefully we can just continue what we're doing, and you know, we're a downer rider, so it's quite difficult, but the boys are all managing, which is good.
A paid maximum for yourself tonight as well, and it had a bit of everything, some fast starts and leading out front, that brilliant ride where your team rode with Anders for the 5-1 as well, and securing the paid maximum with that real tussle against Richard Lawson and getting it on the line.
Yeah, it's you know, the track was a little bit better tonight. It was heavy, but not too crazy, and you could actually you know, follow someone and, you know, try and make a pass. So that was good from the track staff. You know, that's what we wanted. But yeah, I'd rather be out in front and just doing my thing. But yeah, it's good. It's good to get the heart going from coming from behind.
And if I've looked it up correctly, I believe it's 10 years ago to the day since you first rode at Sheffield with Plymouth. Fair to say your career's come a long, long way in that time.
Yeah, I remember it like yesterday. I was number 2 and Steady was the king round here, and not many people could beat him, and I think I led him for 3 laps, I think, and he managed to get me. So yeah, he still gives me that to this day. But yeah, you know, a lot's changed since then. But yeah, as I said, back then it was a track that I was scared of because it was so fast and heavy, and I've never really ridden anything like that. But yeah, I've grown to like it, and now it's my home track.
It certainly is, and you're the king around it now as well. Jack, well done to you and the Tigers tonight.
Thank you.
Well, the Sheffield Tigers will next be in action on Thursday, the 24th of April, when they host the Oxford Spires at Oleton Stadium. Also on Thursday, it will be the Ipswich Witches against the Birmingham Brummies, which is a fixture which will also be live on BSN on Thursday night. Next, then, we'll turn our attention to the Cab Direct Championship. The championship level of Speedway is well and truly underway, with fixtures in the BSN series now up and running. And we'll have a look ahead to the various prospects for the team in the championship for 2025 with Rory Schlein, who certainly knows a few of those sides. He's represented quite a few of them over his time. This year, though, he's hanging up his Kevlars. We'll hear about that as well in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
This is No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. Now, coming up in a little while, we'll hear from Jeff Davies on an update on what's happening at Coventry with the Brandon Stadium, the fight to save that stadium and bring back the Coventry Bees. They need your help right now. There is a real possibility that Speedway could be coming back, but they definitely need some support but find out where they're up to with the quest to bring back not just Speedway, but of course all motorsport to Brandon Stadium in Coventry. It's a very exciting update, though, very positive indeed. Right now, though, one man who will be absolutely delighted to see Speedway back there, and a Coventry legend in his day, Rory Schlein, is with me to have a look at the upcoming championship season. I met up with Rory at the NSSC, Nuneaton Speedway Supporters Club, which is just a stone's throw away from the stadium in Coventry, ironically, and they have their meetings at the Brandon Club every now and again. And they invite various Speedway riders down to speak. And on this one, BSN were doing a bit of a chat about the service. And Rory came out to join us. And before that, I grabbed a chat with Rory to look ahead to the championship season. Of course, last year, Poole won everything. Is anybody else going to get in among the titles this year? Let's hear what Rory has to say on his thoughts for the Cab Direct Championship in 2025. There is news today. We're going to hear from Jeff Davies a little bit later on about maybe a step closer, actually, to getting some Speedway back here. But obviously your memories of racing for Coventry, it's a special area for you.
Yeah, literally was told the good news, positive news, moving forward a step closer for... to bringing back the Bees. Not just, the Bees, but obviously that's a big stock car fraternity here as well. So, just in motorsport here at Coventry, it's a big thing. And just to hear that positive news today is brilliant. But yeah, it have many great memories. The treble in 07. We did the Knockout Cup as well. I think it was in 06. Lots of great memories. It was sort of where I burst onto the scene, really established myself at Coventry. They bought me from Edinburgh. I did a couple of years at Bellevue, but yeah, Coventry was where I sort of made my name and put my mark on the sport.
It was such a focal point of Speedway as well in the country, wasn't it? It's where the British final used to be, and even bigger than that. I think I've been to intercontinental finals in the 90s and things.
It's just a big club, with British, like you said, British finals. You go back on rerun videos. That was what I was brought up on, watching back in Australia, rerun videos, and it was a strange thing happened, my love for Coventry, because it come before I even went to England. I got given a load of rerun videos, and it was of best meetings of the year. And for some reason, it was that 98 year when it was Golub, Ricarts and Louis. Yeah. And every time they come to Coventry, it was just always drama. And the racing that Golub and Ricarts was doing with Hamill and Hancock, and and I don't know, that sort of sparked the love of British Speedway, all that sort of stuff, and the love of the track, just because I'd watched them great races around there. So yeah, fond memories, a lot of friends I've made, the sponsors as well, but especially these guys here, the Supporters Club, they've kept it like that flame burning with their help, and Jeff Davies, that it would not be where, in the position they are now.
And we look at other clubs like Oxford being the example, and BSN are there tomorrow night. They're recording this. Yeah, it shows you what can be achieved, though, doesn't it? That was a track that was mothballed. Yeah,
you get the right people in at the right time. Like you look at Oxford now, the 3 teams. You ask another promoter to do that, they'd laugh at you, and they're doing 3 teams good fan base, strong crowd levels, and the promotion are always pushing it, always trying to go in the right direction. So, again, like I said, hope for the club. You know, the same with Wolves. You know, there's people in positions that are fighting, but they just need a little bit of luck, a little bit of everyone's support. Like, we give it a plug last night. Even if you're not a fan of Coventry or Wolves, you know, if they ever ask for support, it only benefits the sport in general.
Get the letters in. It's basically in Speedway's hands now. It seems like it's motorsport in general, as you say, with the stock cars. It's there to be lost. Do you know what I mean? It's for the first time there is an opportunity. So get on that. And we'll hear from Jeff Davies a bit later on in this podcast, and he'll explain exactly what's involved, because he's very much at the centre of this whole thing. To you then, Rory Schlein. We saw you on track last year. Unfortunately, it was live on BSN, and you departed in an ambulance. It's obviously a big injury there, and you know, you're not the only one that's been in this situation. You've decided to call it a day, really. You're not short of offers, but you decided to call it a day on the track. Yeah,
like there was. You know, I did agree with Berwick, and there was a top flight club as well that I agreed with, and the carrot was dangled. And I'd originally, after the accident at Oxford, I told Jamie, I told quite a few promoters, it's done. And then I think Jamie caught me on an off day.
You had a nibble, didn't you? You had a nibble at that carrot.
And you know, that the brains and the heart still thinks, you know, you're still 18, you can still do it. And you watch people like Bomber, that makes it even worse. You think, they're still doing it, why can't I? But, the initial, once I did agree, okay, everything was in place. But then, you know, it just got a little bit complicated with work and stuff like that. And in hindsight, I'm glad I did back out of it. I know it put Berwick in a bit of a sticky situation, but they would have been in a situation anyway, because, you know, only in the last 4 weeks, my shoulders completely let go, and like that was literally handling a pallet out of a truck. So racing a speedway bike, that would have gone very, very early on, and may even have gone in like getting fit in the off season. So that needs major surgery. It's a full shoulder reconstruction, and so in hindsight, it's probably better that it did go that way. But I think my day in the sun's gone, and you know, I wake up every morning, you know, all them noises my dad used to make. I used to think, oh God, why? I'm making them now. So had me day in the sun. I enjoyed it. No regrets. Will always miss it, and that scratch I'll never be able to itch it. But you know, I'm doing something now with you guys. You know, that's keeping me involved, and you know, we both get excited, and I'm really enjoying it. You know, so it just keeps me sort of, you know, keeps my hands near the flame.
It does. It scratches the itch a little bit, doesn't it? It gets you into the pits and the excitement, and you're there, and you're involved, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously now, you were due to be part of a couple of teams. You now see those teams heading on their way. In this, we're going to focus just on the championship particularly. Things, of course, getting underway really over the Easter weekend, properly, I suppose, in earnest, if you like. One or two clubs have done their bits here and there. Just so far, though, back to the Premiership, of what we've seen so far, we were together at the meeting at Kings Lynn. Kings Lynn getting their first points on the board, another of your former sides, of course. And it does seem to be, you know, it's early days, but obviously the usual suspects are heading to the top of the league, and then the rest it's all to be fought for.
Yeah, it looks like Ipswich are going to be the ones with a target on their back. I think the last few years have been putting together really good sides. A few years have been unlucky, obviously, with injuries, and probably have hindered their title hopes. But they really do look, and I think the worrying fact for the rest of the league is that Doyley and Emil really haven't hit full stride yet, and that's the scary part. So when they hit top form, which we know they will, God, that side's going to be hard to beat. You know, like we were at the Bellevue meeting early on in the year, and Bellevue, normally the guys are really good and strong, and you know, around their home club. But Ipswich sort of glided through that meeting, and you know, and I think that's worrying signs for the rest of the league for sure.
As you say, especially with the big hitters not performing and getting through on the strength of the reserves as well. And and all the rest of that. It's interesting times, and same for Sheffield in many ways as well. They're without Ty Wolfenden, and they've destroyed the two teams they've faced so far.
Yeah, and obviously, we wish Ty all the best. Great to see some videos that himself and Vay have uploaded, which I think everyone in the sporting world in Speedway is just brimming with happiness about that. But Sheffield, yes, they've lost Ty Wolfenden, 3 times world champion. They've got to look at this as I don't think you can replace Ty. That's near impossible. Unless you say you bring Smarslick or someone like that.
Yeah, it's got to be
which is highly unlikely. But I would say they look at the other end of the team where they've got points to play with. It's that them points where Steady and that are going to earn their money and think, right, we're going to need to make a change, but how do we benefit? And I could see Sheffield doing something different at the other end of the team, where they try and look for another, like what we talked last night about Kings Lynn with Chris Harris. Do they look at that sort of a bit of an option though? Because they've got points to play with there. They may have to make 2 alterations, but that's speculation. You don't know. They've started the season well. It'd be pretty hard on the rest of the team, if they did that. But they have to be looking beyond April and May. They're going to be looking September. They got a couple of interesting few weeks leading up in the next few weeks.
On to the championship then, the Cab Direct Championship. We've got the Maxi Cab Knockout Cup and the BSN Series. So there's a few tournaments in many cases underway, but let's focus on it'll be the BSN Series to open things up, but just the championship level as a whole. Start with Berwick. Not only top of the alphabet, but obviously a side that well. You were involved in that team building, and obviously there's been 1 or 2 changes.
To be brutally honest, they obviously had to replace myself, and they've brought in a really good rider, and they're going to get value for money there because it's going to be excitement plus with Peter Kilderman. The guy at championship level, that's pretty good. You've got to be honest, that's really good. And if I'm honest, I think they've probably got someone better. He's going to be someone who goes into them places that where I'm in my career might not go. So, but I look at the side, and it's a solid side. I think it's a little bit more composed than maybe last year. I think they could just be a silent hunter this year. Not expecting too much, but they could surprise you. I think all depends on Cookie, how well he performs. We've seen him at his top level and one of the best riders in that championship. But he's just tailed off in the last few years. Whether he can find that form back, Berwick could be a place where he could do that. Yeah. If he starts trapping, we know he's a good trapper, but I think he's the key rider for Berwick, whether they have a season where they'll go up the table or not.
The Poole Pirates, of course, won everything last season. They've had quite a bit of change, obviously not least with Ben Cook moving off to do new things, and obviously best wishes to Ben Cook as well if he's listening to this, because he had a big fall and he's going to be out for quite some time. Tom Brennan also leaving championship level. Obviously, riders need to do this to progress on in Poland and get to the very, very top, which we want to see them do. But in that, they've had to come up with some new ideas. Louis Kerr has moved into the side. They've got Matt Marson in there as well, who's a reserve, but only until the summer when William Cairns qualifies. So there's a little bit of uncertainty perhaps about the Pirates to start with.
The thing with Matt is, and Midlow, you can see his side they put together and you think that doesn't look too... it's not jumping off the paper. The year I signed him, when the Somerset went bust, the side looked okay. And then it was just... and that's just typical Matt. He go, sign Rory. Bang. And that transformed that side with 3 number ones, me, Danny and Stevie. And he sort of has had that the last few years. But what he's noticed is obviously with the Cooks averages going up, it's made it harder to hold them. Like Danny King had to leave, Steve Worrell had to leave, and Richard Lawson's the only one that stayed. Now Richard Lawson's a good number one, and to have it at Poole, no problem. But it's then when they're going away and then you hit them big heat 13s, you're looking for that another big hitter. They've brought in Louis Kerr, but he's coming off a season where he was very, very injury prone. I rode with him and he just had an absolute, so unlucky with the injuries. He needs a clear run, and I was like, thinking the worst at Workington the other day when he had that crash with Eric, and I just thought it's happening again for him. Spoke to him last night at King's Lynn, and he says a bit banged up, but he's okay. But Louis Kerrs, I think that's a reliable rider. They know they've got a rider there, 8-10 points. He's going to be there. Matt not just has that. Matt has a Team B and he has a Team C. So it wouldn't surprise me when Will comes in.
Yeah,
that's not just the only change.
Things might change.
I think there could be more changes, like even possibly Ben Cook signing again. I'm just there. It's just not out of the question.
Especially, I guess, in Ben's situation now. I mean, 24 hours ago, we might have had a different conversation.
Yeah, so what I mean is Ben may want to get the laps. It's also, it's local. He's there. These bikes are always based there. So that is just the wonder of Midlow and Matt. They just seem to just pull tricks out the bag, and then they're in the playoffs, that's how you can never ever write Paul off at all. I don't care what time of the season, if they're maybe 2 spots off the playoffs, just never count them out, because they'll make a change and that changes their whole season.
Well, one team that will be looking to obviously cause a problem, well, there may be a couple of teams looking to cause Paul some problems, but the pairs winners, Redcar, did it again with Charles and Eric, but also Danny as well. They've got a strong top 3 this year.
Again, that's what, and I've noticed Redcar are sticking to that. They've tried to stick with that the big 3. It'll be the rest of the team, and I think that's where they've struggled to push on towards the playoffs. Redcar, they haven't had that quality after their big 3. So that, for me, that's where Redcar need to step up. We know what Danny's capable of. We know what Charles is capable of. And I think they'll win at home. I think they generally will win, because you'll get 10s, 12s, 15s from the 3 big guys. It's the rest of the squad. Can they improve and make that outfit, a contender?
Yeah, that is the question. I think obviously down reserve as well, isn't it? That's going to be the key difference. We'll fly through the others because I see time's ticking, and we're live on stage, Rory, very soon. The defeated grand finalists, Oxford, again they've had a bit of change about their ranks.
Scotty's Scotty's obviously with his shoulder, but again Jamie is another guy. He'll have a plan. Scott never said he was finished.
No, Scott hasn't said he's finished at all.
Look,
no.
I think that side's been put together for a late charge. I think they were waiting on Scott. Obviously, the news didn't come through, but I do think that side is been put together for a massive rebuild halfway through the year. I think there'll be a massive rebuild through that halfway through the year. Try and win at home, keep a clean sheet at home, and then try and push on the second half of the season with changes if Scott's fit.
Yeah, hanging in around the playoffs.
My prediction, yeah.
Glasgow, of course, they were the winners a couple of years ago now, but they made some big changes and some handy-looking signings. We talked about the strength of Ipswich. They've got Dan Thompson in their side now, Leon Flint in there as well. We know what Bomber can do. They've got a lot of power experience in that Glasgow side. Kyle Howarth, of course, a notable addition.
I would agree, but just after that result, their first home meeting to lose to Edinburgh, who, if I'm being, all respect, is one of the weaker-looking sides in the league. And they got turned over at home on their first night.
Without their captain as well. Yeah.
I'm not saying you panic or anything like that. It was Scottish Cup. That's where, you'd rather lose. But for me, a Glasgow side should not even be looking like that. I've never known that sort of to happen with the likes of Bomber, Kyle. But it's I think there are question marks over like Ashton Baljan. We seen him last night. He's going to be one of them riders who he has not really started the season really well. A lot of bad luck last night. But yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks over Glasgow. And you obviously know they're not afraid to make changes. Finances aren't an issue there. And if they have to make a change to better themselves, they're not afraid to invest in that change to make sure that they're on a winning track. So, and the thing with Glasgow is, it's very similar to Poole. They expect results.
Yeah.
You don't seem to get a long time to get through if you're going through a rut or you're going through mechanical issues. They'll quickly pull the trigger on there if they think they need to make a change. So, question mark over Glasgow for me.
Of course, your allegiances, I suppose, fall the other side of Scotland with the Edinburgh Monarchs. With that performance, then does that give them some reason to be optimistic this year with their side?
That was a big result for them. I think I was quite worried watching Sedgy in the first few meetings. He was so far off the pace, and then I watched a few races of him, and going toe to toe and throwing it at Bomber. I thought, hang on a minute. This surely. Then I heard on the grapevine that he was struggling. I believe it might have been with ignitions, and there's been a few of these guys.
Yeah, and he also had a fault on his bike where something snapped to one of the supports for the engine, I think.
Yeah, so it's good to be getting through these issues now before you get to the league and the BSN series. So, yeah, but if I was Edinburgh, I'd be like, we've not really put a belter side together. But we've put a side maybe similar to Berwick that could just pick up and slowly develop throughout the year. Every team could make a change, but I think they've got points to play with if you look at the average. But I think they'll be good at home. I know Glasgow beat them in the cup, didn't they? They beat them there, or they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
I would say they will be majority pretty good at home with Sedgy back on form. Castagna hopefully will be fit as well, very good around there. So I think, and Kyle Thompson will hit form as well. He's always a bit of a slow starter, Kai. So I'd say mid-table for me, Edinburgh on a good run throughout the season.
We'll summarise the other ones because we are running out of time. Workington, of course, they had a great season last year in first season back at the Championship. They got through to the playoffs, of course, looking to kick on there again. Scunny also getting to cup finals. They were in the BSN series final, weren't they? And Plymouth, they've got Nikolai Clint.
Yeah, Plymouth is going to be, I'm not going to say an odd one, but they've brought someone in like Nikolai. You're going to get, again, he's a big hitter. They could be a little bit of a dark horse away. It's that home form where there's some teams go there, click and get results at Plymouth. Scunthorpe, it's the teams don't seem to alter there. They're very much the same every year. They never, Stevie's obviously gone back there. He's local. So you've got someone who can ride a lot of tracks, but I find people like Simon Lambert can only ride certain tracks really well. It just has a feel that it's a similar side which they always put together. It could be because they have such a good home track advantage. If they put a side together and get a side that ride well at home but then good on the road, then Scunthorpe can be a real contender. When they had Dougie there, Dougie was the same, and they had quite a few riders that could ride away from home. I think the main guys, if Glasgow maybe hit form, yes. But I think it's going to be a topsy-turvy. I don't think it's going to be as clear-cut championship. No. Yeah, you look at Paul, you think, yeah, Paul's it. But you look at Paul, I don't know. I don't think there's one team you can look at it now and say, that is a team that has just got to dominate. I can't see that at the minute.
Yeah, a few twists and turns to come through the course. And on Workington as well, of course, they've got quite a few Aussie youngsters in there. Obviously, they've got Tate Zishki, but Fraser Bowes has come in as well now, and Troy Batchelor in there as well. Yeah. So youth and experience from down under.
I know the Bowes quite well. From years, they know my dad, with Fraser's dad, Shane. Fraser, for me, will be key because he's a guy that he's more or less come in and replaced Cookie. And Cookie was a number 1 or number 5. Fraser doesn't have a lot of experience in England. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure Shane would have drilled it into him what England's all about. Fraser's getting a lot of track time in Poland, and I think the Workington track will suit him. So I think they'll be strong at home. For me, there's question marks away. I don't think they'll be picking up a lot on the road. Especially, just don't see if there's... Tate's still trying to find that form he had last year, and I had a little chat with Darcy a few weeks ago about Tate, and he says it's a confidence thing, and he'll get better. I think we saw with that ride, his last ride at Scunthorpe, it's there. Yeah. It's just consistently getting back into that feel-good factor on a bike. When you have a big injury like that, sometimes it takes a while to find that sweet spot again.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for joining us, Rory.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for having me.
Talking us through the championship. I guess so we can reconvene again in a month or two and see how these predictions are getting on.
I ain't going anywhere.
Cheers, mate.
We're recording that interview in Coventry, just a stone's throw away from Brandon Stadium. And we have an update from Jeff Davies next on the situation regarding potentially bringing back Speedway to Coventry. It could well happen. Find out how next.
No brakes, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Now, it has been well documented, the fight to save Brandon Stadium. For the last 8 years, a group of people have been invested in trying to save the stadium, firstly from demolition, and then, of course, to restore it to its former glory and bring back some of those great days of Speedway and, of course, stock cars as well to that part of Warwickshire. Brandon Stadium has been standing for a long, long time. It's still standing there now. It's in a state of disrepair, needs a lot of work doing, but it has been saved from being developed on for housing. But now the quest continues to be able to bring Speedway back there. And I spoke to Jeff Davies, who is the chair of the Save Coventry Speedway campaign, with an update on the situation regarding the return of motorsport to Brandon Stadium. It's very positive. They do need everyone's help, though. All you've got to do is write a letter. Have a listen to what Jeff Davies has to say with this encouraging update on the quest to bring back Speedway to Coventry.
Most people will know that they were refused planning permission, as you've just said. They took it to an appeal to the Secretary of State, and the 9D inquiry took place, culminating in the inspector making a decision in January last year, 2024, that the appeal was dismissed. So where we are now, 15 months have passed since that decision was made. We've been working diligently to move things forward. We've been working with the local council, Rugby Borough Council, had many meetings with them. What we've also done is now to establish a consortium of investors who are very, very credible individuals, businessmen, very keen. They have the necessary funding to reinstate the stadium if we're successful in acquiring the stadium. So they have the funding. They have no need to resort to taking out loans. They have the technical ability to reinstate it. So that's very, very positive that we have a consortium now of 5 businessmen. And we have meetings with the council. We have one planned next week, in fact. And the other very significant thing is that the rugby local plan process is underway, has been underway for over a year, and the council have proposed in their local plan to have a new policy. The new policy states the council supports the restoration of Coventry Stadium Brandon for speedway and stock car racing and other motorsports, together with other community uses. Planning permission will not be granted for development proposals which would conflict with these objectives. So that is a very, very clear statement of intent, an unequivocal statement that will put in place protection for the stadium and offer no prospect of anybody coming along and getting permission to do anything else with it.
So this is a hugely positive situation to be in now. You've got financial backing, but you've also got a potential promoter on board as well, that as you've announced tonight at the Nuneaton Speedway Supporters Club here, just a stone's throw from the site here in Brandon. And it feels like that momentum is, this situation now is more in your hands than perhaps it's ever been.
Exactly. We're very optimistic that we can, bring about a successful conclusion to this long-running saga and get Brandon back again. And I think we'd all agree that that would be incredible if we managed to get Brandon back after 8 years, and a real boost, a shot in the arm for Speedway in this country. So we're very hopeful, we're optimistic. We've always been hopeful as a committee. Many people have told us for years that we're wasting our time, that these developers who've thrown hundreds of thousands of pounds putting in applications, legal battles, etc. A real David versus Goliath battle. But we've come through it positively to date, and we're optimistic that we can see it through.
And so the prospect of Speedway at Brandon is a very real possibility, but you need support from people out there. You need people to get in touch with the council, write letters again, as they have done in the past, but you need them to do that again.
We do, and we're conscious that we've asked people to do this a number of times, and we're also conscious that other tracks, other campaign groups are asking for similar support. Swindon, Lakeside, Rye House, Peterborough, they're all asking people to support it, and people may be rather tired of doing this, but we would urge you to do it for Coventry. We're so close. We think it can happen, and we'd ask people to look at our website, Save Coventry Speedway website, or look at the Facebook page Save Coventry Speedway, and there's information on there that tells you what we're asking you to do. And that's basically, it would take 2 minutes to submit something to the council, to localplan@rugby.gov.uk, and express their support for this new policy that I've just referred to. And that will be a real help in demonstrating to the council that the support for Brandon Stadium to return is still there, even 8 years after the stadium closed. So we'd be really grateful if people would do that.
So a real possibility for, not just Speedway, of course, motorsport in general to return to Brandon. Of course, it was a big stock car venue as well, and it's not just Speedway, stock cars included in this as well. As far as Speedway goes, though, a key figure named as a promoter should things go ahead, and that is somebody that people were very familiar with in Matt Ford, and a safer hands possibly in Speedway you could not be in.
Well, exactly. Matt is really keen. We should add straight away, not so people in Poole are not worried, that this would be a second club. He would continue promoting Poole, but he's very keen to take over Coventry Speedway if we're successful, and promote our club as well.
And so it really feels now, for you, you've been involved in this, as you say, 8 years now, a long journey, but you must feel that there is an end goal in sight here now.
Yes.
Perhaps for the first time you can really see that this is tangible, you can reach it.
Yes, definitely. We're really quite excited and optimistic about it. So we don't think we could be in a better position, really. So fingers crossed that things go well in the next few months, and we can give people some more positive news.
Well done, Jeff, as well, because you put a lot of work into this. You and obviously a group of people as well involved in this. I know it's not you alone, but
no.
It has been a long journey, and now to be at this point, you must feel a sense of satisfaction, but of course I guess a sense of nervousness as well of getting it now for this final yard.
Yeah, and you're right to point out that this has been a real effort from a group of people. There's 8 of us. There was more, and sadly during the 8 years two of our committee have died, but there's 8 of us that remain. Each and every one of those 8 people have played a vital part in getting us to the stage we're at. And all those people, by the way, that contributed to the Just Giving fund, which we had to use a couple of years ago to fight the inquiry, to engage a KC. 669 people raised £24,000 in 7 days for us to pay for legal representation. So all those people have also played a part too, within the Speedway fraternity. So, it's been a huge effort by a lot of people.
Well, let's hope everything goes your way, and we're talking about Speedway, and maybe a year or two from now, that would be a great position to be in, wouldn't it?
Let's hope so, Ian, and let's hope this evening at the Brandon Club we've had an evening with the BSN team, and how good would it be in a year or two to have BSN filming a Speedway meeting at Brandon?
Well, I would love that, and I think everybody else would as well. But well done, Jeff, and just need people now to do their bit. Just all you need to do is write a little letter, and the details can be found on the Save Coventry Speedway Facebook pages and website.
And website, yeah.
Brilliant. Well done, Jeff. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ian.
A fantastic update from Jeff Davies, and huge kudos to everybody who's involved in that campaign. It keeps moving on, but they need the public's help now. And yes, you're being asked to do a lot of things for a lot of people, I know, as Jeff mentioned there. But this one, it's there to be won now. And we need letters, we need support from the Speedway world, wherever you are. Get in touch with the council. If you go to the Save Coventry Speedway website, all the details of what you need to do are there, and get involved. And you never know, before we know it, sooner than you think, we could have Speedway back there. Really encouraging times for the campaign to return Speedway back to Brandon Stadium, along with the stock cars as well, of course, who have also been very much involved in saving the stadium too. So that rounds things up, I think, for No Brakes, No Fear for this week. It's been an all-action week for me, and it continues next week, but we'll bring you another update next week at the usual time, I'm hoping, with a reaction to the action from the bank holiday weekend and all that it brings. Here's a look at the upcoming fixtures then. Over the course of the bank holiday weekend, big day on Good Friday. We've got Knockout Cup action in the Championship, Maxi Cab Knockout Cup between Edinburgh and Workington at 7:30. That's Workington's first meeting as a team in the Championship, I believe. BSN Series, Glasgow versus Berwick, Poole versus Oxford at 6 p.m. at Poole Stadium, and Scunthorpe versus Redcar at 3 p.m. Should note as well that if you go to that one, they actually got National League action straight after, with the Scunthorpe Steelers versus the Middlesbrough Tigers straight after it. So two fixtures in the one meeting there. Saturday, Maxi Cab Knockout Cup action at Workington against Edinburgh at 1 p.m. at the GT Tyres Arena. BSN Series action in Berwick Bandits against the Glasgow Tigers, and the Plymouth Gladiators versus the Oxford Cheetahs, both at 7 o'clock. And then on Easter Monday, Row Motor All Premiership action, Bellevue versus Birmingham at 12. We've also got Oxford versus Leicester at 1, and then Birmingham versus Bellevue 7:30, Leicester versus Oxford at 7:30. So two home and aways there to look forward to. And then next Wednesday, it's Poole versus Plymouth in the BSN Series. But we'll be back before then. Have a great weekend in Speedway over the bank holiday weekend, and we'll catch you next week. Happy Easter.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.